Hello, everybody, and welcome
Hi.
back.
Hi, guys.
We're just having fun
You guys crack
before we even start.
me up.
If only they could see like behind the scenes, but
We need to do some
Better
like
not.
bloopers.
hi, bonus, hi, B.
Behind the scenes, but better not. Sorry.
Hi, bonus, hi, B.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to mute it. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Just
So-
disrupting stuff.
I like it. I dig it. So today we are continuing our 31 days of tarot, and it is day 24 through 31. Shall I start asking the questions, ladies?
Yes.
Okay. Day 24. Share a tarot myth you used to believe and why you stopped believing it. A tarot myth that I believed was that you have to be gifted a deck in order to work with tarot. And that was like the proper way. But after a while, I got sick of waiting. So I got me a deck and I found out that was a very big myth, although it's nice to be gifted, decks and stuff. And maybe it could add a bit of flick of power from someone else, but I do feel like that's a big myth that could really disappoint someone.
Yes. I mean, exactly like what you just said. I'd still be waiting. I'm just saying, I'd still be waiting because I never would have found tarot community if I didn't already have a tarot deck, right?
Yeah.
So for me, we kind of talked about this beforehand. And I've actually talked about this in the past. I used to think, and I know this is, like I've said, this is not a politically correct term. And my apologies for that. I'm not sure how else to say it. And I have no bad regard whatsoever. I don't look at this as derogatory or these people as derogatory, but gypsies. I used to think you had to be like this mystical, like certain kind of person to be able to be a tarot reader, right? Because I just thought it was so friggin' cool. And my grandma, she was a tarot reader, but I didn't know she was a tarot reader until after she was gone. So, there was this misconception. But now I realize that anybody can be a tarot reader. It's just learning a skill. Some people are more naturally gifted in certain areas than others, but anybody can technically be a tarot reader. So that was the big myth for me.
Yeah, for me, I didn't know about any myths until I found the tarot community in 2018, and I bought my first deck in 1999. So there's a long time in between where I didn't hear about any myths, and like I bought my first tarot deck long before I ever bought a book about tarot. So yeah, I bought the deck, I started reading, and that was it. So I never heard about any myths that you have to be like from a specific line of readers or anything, nothing like that.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me chuckle a bit because as we're sharing those, like the tarot myths, it kind of reminds me of like little things you would think of as a kid and you grow up to find that you believed it as a kid, but it's just like way off.
That reminds me, I got to say this really quick. You guys are going to laugh. You hear the expression women going into labor, right? So I thought when I was a little kid that Labor Day was the day that all women went into labor.
I thought as a kid, here's one. I love that. I thought that if we were to cut somebody open, like anybody, and don't ask me why I thought this, but I truly did. I thought if we cut somebody open that there was just a bunch of egg yolk inside our bodies. maybe it was from watching like my mom cook or something, and I just somehow don't ask, but that was a silly childhood thing.
See, look at those are the things that kids think about, right? That's funny. Oh.
So day 25, thoughts on tarot becoming mainstream. My thoughts on this and topics like this is like, really, who am I to judge something like that? You know, honestly, I feel like the more open minds we have and the more people willing to look more towards spiritual skills or tools to use to increase their spirituality, who really cares if it's becoming mainstream or not? The great thing about this is, like 300 years ago, people were getting killed for these things. And these days, we have the freedom and the ability to utilize it. So it's like the more the merrier, to be honest. That's kind of how I view it.
I mean, I can't really add too much more to that. I agree with that completely. I think the more people, because I look at tarot, it's not just about looking at, divining the future. I look at it as a form of therapy, a way of working through your own stuff and self-knowledge, right? So I look at it as the more people that do it, the more people are going to be working through their crap instead of going out into the world and taking it out on other people. They're going to become more self-aware. So it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we don't have to hide it anymore. Which, like, the whole mainstream thing, I actually love it because it also means we don't have to stay in the tarot closet and be embarrassed about it or worried about what other people may say, even though I'm still kind of in the tarot closet, at least at work. But yeah, one thing that I also like about it is that this has turned into a huge business thing. I mean, if it wasn't mainstream, we wouldn't have all these different decks. We wouldn't have so many deck creators. We wouldn't be able to choose all these things that we like that appear to us based on the artwork. I mean, can you imagine if we only had the classic RWS and the Aleister Crowley deck, if we had to choose between those two? I couldn't, because yeah, I love that we have so many different decks and that we can find so many different ways of working with them. And that is only because it's mainstream and people have made an industry out of it. People can make money with that in many different ways. Even if you don't read tarot, you can design the deck. So yeah, in that sense, I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So day 26, share your first professional reading experience, either as a reader or a seeker. Now, I don't think I ever paid or been paid to do one. And I can't really remember. I know I've had some in the past, but I can't really remember many that stuck with me until the reading you gave me, Rochelle, on my past life. And it's like since then, I've really dived into tarot. It's like I dabbled in tarot for a while, but now like I'm like wanting to really learn it. So yeah.
My plan has come to fruition. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so the first one, I already kind of talked about this before. The first tarot reading that I ever got that was paid for, we went into, I took my grandma. We paid like $20. It was at a pub. You could go in and get your palm read. And it was all for $20. Each person just paid $20, and there was different booths. So you would go in for a palm reading. I think there was a tea leaf reading. There was a tarot reading. That might have been it. Seemed like there was one other, but I don't remember what it was. So I don't even remember what she said. I was like 18 years old. That was a long time ago. The first one that somebody paid for me was probably a little over a year ago. And I don't remember the readings that I give for people, most generally, because it's just, I think the more and more you do them, the more you just realize you're just like the person that's giving it. It's not for you. The message is not for you. So I don't really recall. But I do remember saying to my husband, because somebody had purchased it off of my website, I was like, oh my gosh, I just got my first one, you know? So that's what I remember about it.
Yeah, the first reading that I ever paid for was in my hometown. There was one man who was reading playing cards, and he learned it from his mother, who had learned it from a, forgive me, gypsy. So yeah, that was the first time that I got a reading, and I think that was in 2001. So yeah, I was probably in my senior year of high school back then. And the first one that I got paid for was in the summer of 2003. It was during an internship, and one of the people who worked there, she wanted a reading from me. And my Reiki teacher, she had always said, I can't do this stuff for free all the time because it has to be a give and take. Otherwise, it's not balanced. And so I started charging like $5 for the reading so that there would be at least some kind of exchange. And the first reading that I ever got on TarotTube was over a year ago, and it was from Zach, the Tiger's Abyss. And it was about career, and it came true.
Nice. I will say, I have noticed, even when we're doing readings, live readings, I feel like I do, and I'm not just saying this because even if it's $1, when I feel that there is a money exchange or some sort of exchange, I feel like it is a stronger connection with the cards. Do you guys feel that way? When I am reading, I feel like there's like more clarity and it is more accurate. The people say, wow, that really is, that's what I'm experiencing right now. I feel it's more accurate when there is an actual exchange. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think when they're paying for it, they have a lot more intention that they put into their question and a lot more energy that they're sending, as opposed to someone who is like going from one YouTube live to the next, asking the same question over and over again. And so, yeah, there's a different energy, and yeah, it's definitely something that I pick up.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I didn't want that to come across like, just give me your money and I'm going to be more accurate. That's not what I mean. So
let me just answer some of these quick, guys. Courtney, a guy called Corwin Hargrove, wrote Goetic Pathworking, a complete safe way to use the spirit sigils for practical purposes. Thought you might introduce it to your son. Well, thank you, Dice Controller. I will look into that. Although I downloaded one the other day, I'm wondering if it ain't the same one, but I appreciate that. And welcome to the live stream. Lady Blind Wolf, hello. It's funny you mention Aleister Crowley. I was watching something, and there's a correlation between him and Jack the Ripper and H.H. Holmes.
What kind of a correlation, honey?
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely...
Because I don't know if I heard that one, and y'all know me. I've looked into like everything Jack the Ripper. I'm obsessed with that.
Oh.
And do you... Oh, yes. I believe we all have one, don't we?
Yeah, I don't think I have it down below, though.
No, but we do have that when we do readings.
Right.
Yeah, spot on. And B is agreeing with Rochelle and Lady
About
Blind
the money
Wolf.
exchange, honey? About that? Is that what
Probably,
you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah. Ancestral Path Tarot last weekend. That's excellent. Yeah. I actually just got her next one. Let me show you guys really quick. Into Egypt Tarot. You can even look at like draw a card, do a reading. You can explore and you can see all the cards. So you can click on all the cards here. Like, look at that. And then when you click on it again, it has the names. It was $3.99 for the tarot deck. And you can do actual readings and everything on it. And the artwork is phenomenal. Then there's a little link, sorry, but there's a little link here. Whoops, I did it again. Where you can get the full actual book write up on it, where it's like the whole thing. It's really cool.
Yes. That's really neat.
Yeah.
All right. So, ladies, for day 27, how do you pick your tarot decks for readings? Honestly, it's easier if I know the person and their energy, and also what kind of reading they want. I kind of go with my own energetic gut instinct. And also I have certain decks that I have dedicated to certain types of readings. Like, for example, my Necronomicon deck I use for shadow work. So if somebody had a question relating to that or needed help with that, I'd use that. Or, past life, I might use a different deck. But that's kind of how I choose them. I just go with what my gut tells me and the energy at the time.
For me, it's pretty much the same. It depends on the question, what I'm feeling at the time, the energy that I'm picking up at the time. I mean, clearly, if it's a love question, that I'm going to use like one of my love oracle decks. If it's like something that seems like a darker kind of question, I'm going to use probably something that's more conducive to shadow work. But I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, I go towards my trusty light seers, just because I know the decks so well that even though I have a lot of decks, I always go to like my trusty one. If I really, really want to know, if I want to connect with it really good, I do.
Yeah. Same thing. Like I have the decks that I turn to the most. One of them would be my oh my god, it's too far away to reach now. My Haunted House tarot. And I do have certain decks that I use for specific readings. Like I have decks that love to talk about feelings. I have decks that would be good for like finances or sexual stuff. I have shadow work decks, and I would also kind of choose the decks depending, like especially for a face-to-face reading, how much the person would be afraid or not afraid of tarot. Like how dark can I go with my deck, or should I pick something like the Monopoly tarot that doesn't scare them at all? So yeah, based on how the person would feel about the tarot reading, if it's like the first time or if they are a very experienced client, so that would also factor in.
Yeah.
She tries to match up the decks with the person's personality. Yeah. Hello, Summer. Hello, Prune to Bloom. So for day 28, how do you feel about tarot deck modification? Do you draw on your decks, trim the borders, or is it a no-go for you? This is a double-edged sword for me because I adore art. I don't want to think about, especially I used to do tattoos. And one unspoken code with that is we don't like touching anyone else's art or changing it. And, but also at the same time, I can see where for spiritual purpose or personalization, that could add power. Yeah, and the intent behind it is probably what would be important for me with that. I don't know. If someone was like, oh, I'm just going to draw a mustache on this guy because I don't like the way he looks, then I'd probably be like, oh, not that it matter. But if someone's like, oh, I got to trim the sides here because they're a bit big for me or whatever, cool, do your thing, Again, I'm like, okay.
For me, I love to modify my decks. It makes it feel like, and it's only certain decks though. Not all decks do I modify. Not all decks require modifying. Yeah. But some decks that are really, really big or they have just the ugliest damn border, I have to get rid of them. And also because my hands are short and stubby. So sometimes if it does have a really big edge on it and I can take it off and it makes it easier for me to be able to hold the deck and shuffle the deck, I'm going to do that. But I also like, for instance, this was the mass market version of the light seers. And it just was like the plain this on the outside, right? And I like green. Green's my favorite color. And the indie version has like a nice green matte edge. So I just edged it in another green, a little bit darker green. I like doing that. So another deck that I've actually seen, I think I've seen Tammy Pie do it on Instagram, which is the archetypes, the round deck. And that one is really difficult because it is such a deep deck, and it's an oracle, not a tarot. And the thing with oracle is you don't memorize all of it 9 times out of 10 unless it's the only damn oracle deck you have, right? So I don't want to have to pull the book out all the time. And it's got this border on it that I'm not really happy with. But when I seen her Instagram photo showing all of her keywords written around the edge, I thought, I'm going to do that. You know, I'm going to do that. So I can use it, so I can utilize the deck more and not have to rely on the book all the time. So I love modifying.
Yeah, I've seen at least 2 other tarot readers do that as well to their ancestral. No, archetypes, not ancestral.
Right, archetypes. Did I say ancestral?
Yeah.
I meant archetypes.
I said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So modifications, I love them. Like I've only ever edged one deck, and I used a metallic marker that kind of ran out of paint halfway through. So I really had to dig deep to get some color for the rest of the cards. So edging is not something that I enjoy doing, but I will trim the borders. And the very first deck that I actually did this to was one of my out of print decks. So I went all in the first time. And this is the Arcus Arcanum, and it had white borders, but now it looks like a comic book, and I love that. I mean, it already has like a very comic book kind of design, and now I can really see that. And I also do that with like Oracle decks. If they have, like you said, ugly borders, I cut off all the yellow borders on here because I didn't like them, and now the pictures are so much more pretty. I also, like on my Housewife's Tarot, it had like the ugliest borders ever in different colors for the different suits. And now they look really vintage. And they're just so much prettier without these borders. Especially, I don't like it if the suits are divided by different colors. I want the deck to feel like one thing. So this definitely had to go. Or I would, like even on my Bianco Nero, I cut off the white borders to make the images stand out more. And sometimes I like to do large spreads. So having the cards a little bit smaller makes that easier if you want to spread them out all across the table. And yes, I also write on my cards, like on my Haunted House Tarot, which I'm also treating like a journal. Like I write questions on there or keywords, and this is an ongoing process that I do. Because whenever I watch other readers that say something interesting about a specific card, I'll just write it on here. I'll put another keyword on here, and that's how this deck will keep developing over time. And I do have a backup copy where nothing is written on it in case I ever want to read with just the images and have nothing on it. But yeah, I love doing that. And I will never be the kind of tarot reader that keeps an extra journal and writes everything in there. I may start that, but after 3 pages, I'm kind of done. So that's why I combine it. Journal on the cards, and I love it. I really do.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. I really do. And you know what? I don't know about you guys, but I know some people stress out when they're, modifying and all that. Man, I find it so relaxing. Yes. I can be watching something because it's like, it's seriously like doing a menial job. At least to me it is, because it's like repetitive, and I've done tons of them now. and just sitting there doing the edges, like no, while you're just watching stuff. So it's like just like shuffling too. It's like very, very soothing to me.
Yeah,
So.
I do that too. I take the big scissors and then I just cut it all off, and it's like zen.
Oh, you were talking about the art. I'm sorry, but you were talking about the art and how you don't like messing with the art sometimes. But I find sometimes taking off the actual border brings out the art more because you're not seeing the ugly borders.
Yeah.
You know, all the way to the edge.
That's what I was
Yeah,
going to bring
always-
up. I'm actually struggling right now with my house and night deck because the cards are so beautiful, but the border's so big and like, nah. And I'm like, do I want to cut it? How do I do this? I was actually going to like get a hold of you ladies later and be like, so how can I do this and not mess it up?
There is a very easy way, because you just take a picture of the cards and then you just like either print it out or do this in Photoshop, take off the borders, put them side by side, and then see which one you like best. I did this with my mystical manga, which was very difficult to trim because it has like ornaments and stuff in the borders going into that. And so I did different versions and then decided which one I actually wanted to do instead of just cutting it off and then regretting it. So the Photoshop thing is always helpful. If you're not sure, just do it on a piece of paper, copy them, print them out, cut that off, and then see how you like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
And
think
I
that
agree.
is a great idea.
I love your ladies, views on that. I do. It's just like I said, double. It's like a double thing for me there. I see it and I vibe with what you guys are saying, but also I'm like, I don't know.
If it is now, see, when you said that you did that with an out of print deck, I'm more reluctant to do it with an out of print deck, or something that of value. I'm less likely to do that, but that's also because of my Capricorn in me. That's always thinking of also pentacles. Okay, so I'm less likely because I'm like, I just am going to ruin the value of this if I alter it. So I'm less likely, but I'm not saying I'm not above it either, because if I want to work with it, ultimately, that's why I get it, is because I want to work with the deck. So.
Well, with this one, I saw a video of another tarot reader who had done this, and she showed all the cards, and that's how I saw it without the borders. And then I was like, yeah, I have to do it. And since then, I also pretty soon after got a backup copy, so I still have one that looks like the original with all the borders. But yeah, I love the one without. The only thing that I find kind of sad about the whole taking the borders off is they never shuffle the same afterwards. And with some cards, like before, I could riffle shuffle them, but now because of the size and like sometimes the card stock, you can't riffle shuffle them anymore afterwards. So that is something to take into account.
Awesome.
All right, we're done on this. This was a big one, though. This was a big question.
All right, day 29. What question or questions do you most often ask the tarot? And this can be for yourself or for others. More for myself, I would have to say, and most frequent is usually I'm asking, please reveal what I need to know right now. Just in general, or if there's a certain situation, like something I'm not seeing, or a way out of something, or through something that I'm trying to figure out. Or I will ask the cards to show me the outcome in a certain situation or practice or something I'm working on. So if I'm working on a path working and I'm trying to decide, okay, do I want to dive in with this spirit, this entity? I'll ask the cards, what do I need to know or see about this situation, and what would the outcome be? And I'll decide usually on what I get.
So for me, usually I'd say a very similar, what do I need to know for my highest good? Or what does this person need to know for their highest good? Or if they actually have a question themselves. But I mean, really, Or I will just say, show me a story, reveal this story to me. And, I'll put the cards out and then let the line tell me the story. But that's about it.
Yeah. When I do readings for others, the top 2 questions are always love and work. And for myself, I read about all kinds of stuff. Like I would read about, okay, tell me what was this now? Like, give me some more info about a certain situation that just occurred. I also look into current events. If I see something on the news and I want to see, okay, can I do a reading on it? Can I get more info or whatever? I do shadow work and like look into psychological things with that, trying to work through like issues that I might have, whether it's with other people or fears, phobias, those kind of things. I look into past lives with the help of tarot, also to work on some psychological stuff and connect that to my life today and see if there's something that I need to work on, like in my last past life readings that I did with the workbook. It was about a specific family situation and the dynamic in the family and how the people in that situation affected one another and how they acted based upon that. And so that is something that I look into as well.
Well, I just looked at that question like it was a basic question for like general, like general readings. But oh yeah, I do all that kind of stuff too. Definitely the past life stuff. That's probably more that I do than anything is the past life stuff. And I do ask specific questions, maybe about somebody I just meet, or a situation. How should I handle this situation? But in general, for like general readings, my number one thing I usually do is, what do I need to know for my highest good? So
I love that. So for day 30, share one of the new things you learned about tarot in the last year. Well, everything. No. Like I said, I was a dabbler before. Like I'd probably say around 2019-ish. 2020 really started utilizing tarot more. But probably over the last year, it's been learning the meanings of the minors, and that's still like a continuing thing for me. But truly, how to follow my own channel and see the cards without like that limitation. I don't know. From my perspective, it feels like if I'm only going by meanings and not my feelings or the symbolism or messages I'm receiving or feeling at the time, then I'm limiting the experience for me, So I would have to say probably the new things I learned or the continuation of the minors, because the majors I pretty much got down, and how to really utilize my intuition with the tarot and the symbology.
I would say for me, definitely increasing my intuition mixed with the meanings, and assigning my own meanings to certain cards rather than maybe traditional. But I would have to say the big thing for me in 2020 was astrology. So trying to start associating astrology in with the tarot. It's still a long process to go, but the inklings of that for me.
Yeah. For me, I've gotten better with the court cards this year. So that is something that probably every tarot reader at some point has some problems with, the court cards and remembering all of them. But yeah, for me, it's like getting some different decks and learning not to read just the typical descriptions that I can find in each and every tarot book and reciting them like a poem, but to actually look at different pictures. Like this is the Temperance card. And this is something very different on here, and going with what I see on the picture. Or this is the Two of Wands. Something very different, and to really just sorry, let the image guide me and give me like an extra layer of something that I can dive into, and combining that with the traditional meaning of the cards. So that is something that I've done a lot more this year, like really leaning on the images and like differences in different decks. Like I have this deck and very specific meanings that I can find in the card. Something like the Atlantis Tarot, for example, the same card would have a very different meaning, because there are so many different things on the cards that you can find, and it has a very masculine energy as well. So yeah, different decks, different energies, different ways of reading with them, and
Yeah.
differentiating between them.
Right on.
I was trying to find the last question we left on in the comments, because I seen a couple here. Oh. Wouldn't it be better to stop studying tarot and just create an Oracle Spirit familiar? I mean, you can, but also I feel like if you don't use it, you lose it type of deal. Just whatever works for anyone, I guess, or works for you. I'm also, Dice Controller said here, some of the spot-on tarot readings have turned out to be wrong. Could this happen if I get involved to change things because the future isn't set? Yes.
Absolutely.
And yes, in my opinion, completely.
I think once you know, then I think it's more likely that you're going to change it because you know. That's why I'm not so huge on foretelling with the tarot or any kind of thing, because once you know, you change it usually.
Exactly. That's what I always say to everyone who comes to me for a reading, especially when I sit down face to face. Like, if this is like the spread in front of you, if that is telling you a story that you don't like, you have the power now to change that. If you don't want this to come true, take the necessary steps to prevent that.
Yeah.
And I like where Lady Blind Wolf was going with this, because I'm starting to incorporate that into rituals and spells, and also practicing using certain cards or cards with sigils as gateways or portals.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, so we're on 31 already, ladies. Share a tarot deck that you have to break up with. I broke up with a Celtic deck this year, and I gifted it to my boys. It's their first tarot deck, and they're utilizing it. Lovely. They're doing great with it. Me, I just, that spark wasn't there, so had to, as you do.
For me, this year, I think I'm getting rid of my sister's coming like next week. I've got like 15 decks set aside for her. She can take on whatever she wants or give to her girls, because she's got 3 daughters. I have sent, I think, 3 to you, Courtney, and another one over here that's going to be coming to you. It's just so expensive. International shipping is crazy right now. And I've also gifted to other people. So for me to say I'm breaking up with one, I broke up with like, I think 20 some decks this year. So yeah.
I've bonded well.
Yeah. So there's a lot.
Yeah. One that I'm definitely breaking up with is this one, and has already found a new owner. So soon that will find its way to you. And then I do have some decks that I never really read with, like, for example, the Fenestra Tarot. I've done one reading for 31 days of tarot reading, I think like 2 years ago or something. And I like the artwork, very manga and everything, but I can't get myself to read with this. I don't know why. Maybe I'll try it at some point again. For now, I'm meditating towards it. And the same thing with the new Palladini. I got it because it looks really interesting, and I mean, the artwork is beautiful. I just don't find myself reaching for it. I don't know why. It's just, It's not calling to me. So it's in the maybe pile.
Yeah. We did good. 40 minutes. All right, let's catch up a little bit here.
Sorry if I skipped some of y'all.
Oh, come on.
My chat thing's funny.
So October Rain Rock says, I have started making my own Scottish Gaelic deck where it's a combination of a regular deck and reminded me of my heritage and the language, using it a lot with my ancestors. That is excellent.
Oh, that is awesome.
Let's see. Yes, I do have that. I started reading that, and then I stopped reading it, but I need to pick it back up again because I really liked everything that she put in that. What is it? Your Tarot Court? I think that's the name of it. But I mean, that's where I started learning about actually like putting seasons to the actual court cards and stuff like that. So yeah, it is a good book. She says, yeah, I'm really struggling with intuition in tarot. I do love that deck that you have, Maria, the Haunted Mansion one.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, this one has also really Haunted House.
Haunted House.
Wait.
I dig it.
Yeah. That is really beautiful artwork.
This has also helped me with the court cards because the way they are depicted in here, I mean, let me see if I can find one. Of course, when you look for one, you can't. So just like the Queen of Wands in here, the way that she is sitting there, like she's very passionate, fiery, but also very graceful and all of that. Like I can see this woman. And something that I'm struggling with in the classic RWS, I can't see these people as people. They're just sitting there. They're paintings or something. Or here, this is the Knight of Pentacles.
Ooh.
Like there is just something that I can work with, whether it's like the door with the snow coming in, the owl and stuff like that. So having some extra stuff here, or like my favorite is the King of Wands, but also something like this is the Page of Swords, and like she has this little dollhouse there with empty rooms. She has that energy, and she's going to like fill those rooms with ideas and things. So that is something that I can actually remember just looking at the picture.
I love the one that's got the spirit board on it. And you said that's the Two of Wands?
That's the Two of Wands, yeah.
Yeah, I love that
because
one.
the two wands here are the candles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still there, and it talks about like destiny and how are you going to make your destiny come true and everything. So yeah,
I love that.
I love how it has water and fire in there, being, you know, associated with the dead and like the spirit realm and stuff.
This
I love
King
that.
of Swords, I mean, first of all, he's like this dark angel, and the chessboard, I love that chessboard in front of him and the way that he can just foresee other people's moves, and he always knows what to do and everything. So yeah, this deck has made it a lot of fun to get to know the court cards.
I love that. October Rainrock says, I often see things the cards haven't depicted, and by that I mean that they are not in the meanings themselves, so I am getting used to not second guessing my intuitive meanings. Yeah.
Right.
I think for me, I had to start off with the meanings. And I think, in my own opinion, that it's good to start off with meanings, because at least for my own personality, because I would have always been, I think, second guessing myself if I didn't have the fundamental meanings already there.
Yeah, you gotta know the framework.
I merge. I mean, I change some of the meanings myself, but I feel like because I know what they are, that just doesn't gel with me. So this is what I'm putting on it. But I think it also gives you an ability to be a bit more objective versus subjective if you have a fundamental line of meanings. Because, I mean, you could be in a really bad mood and you don't know the tarot at all. And all of a sudden you just start reading the cards and you're like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. You don't want to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah. You got to know the rules to break the rules.
Exactly.
I like
Yeah. Once you know how it works, you can put your own spin on it and make it your own. But you have to know the rules first.
Yeah.
You don't have to apply everything.
Right. Breaking the law, right? Well, with my medicine woman deck, the imagery is really different, but the book has a lot of meditations and teachings. Yeah, that's awesome. So does the Isis Oracle. It has a lot of like ritual stuff and how you can use the cards, which is really, really cool. When it comes to breaking up with decks, I have to admit I'm a serial monogamous with decks. Yeah. Hi, guys. Hi, Dan. Also, I am really tapping into, let me read it from here. I am really tapping into is my son's chart at the moment, and he has a Castile Stellium, 7 planets in Aquarius. Thoughts? Wow. So he has 7 planets that are in Aquarius? Is that what you're saying?
Wow.
I think so.
I'm going over my kids' too at the moment and mine. So, hey, maybe we could get together too. And
is your son like extremely like a humanitarian, very much worrying about like the planet and the people and taking care? Because Aquarius is very much like that and a bit eccentric as well. Oh, autistic. I have like 4 of my planets actually in Scorpio. 4 in Scorpio. And what house are all those planets in? What house is that? Because that will also help determine what house is Aquarius. Because all of those houses would be in that, I believe.
by the way, I still want to compliment you, October, on your activism. I am a fan. I love it. She really uses her voice, man.
Awesome.
In the 10th house.
What? 10th house?
In the 10th house.
Oh, that's career. That's like karma. Yeah. That's like based on Capricorn. The 10th house is Capricorn. So, wow. And Aquarius. So it's ruled, the 10th house is ruled by Saturn, which is like father time, structures, traditions, career. Oh, yeah. Ooh, goodness. Wowza. That is powerful. That is powerful. And I'm just learning about astrology, and I know that's damn powerful. Let's just say. I'm
starting to become obsessed. I'm even asking strangers like on Facebook that I haven't talked to in forever. Oh, by the way, what's your zodiac? Wait, am I guessing it right? Are you this?
We are going to be starting, my sister and I, starting this Thursday, is going to be our first members only chats. We're going to be doing once a week chats, and we are starting. They're only going to be like 30-minute chats, and we're going to be starting in learning astrology from the very beginning. And there's going to be printouts and everything that I make that go along with each week.
Awesome.
So, yeah, and you're learning astrology from other people. I'm sorry, learning astrology from other people that are learning it also. So you're not going to have to work. And I don't want to say that, because I'm not saying that somebody that is an established astrologer is not really good at teaching. But I feel like if you are getting it right along or learning right along with the other person, you don't feel as intimidated by asking certain questions, And you might know how to teach it better because you're remembering, well, this is what I just learned. This is what I just thought. So, that's just my own thoughts on that, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Talking about it helps keeping it in the memory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So that starts this Thursday. I'm excited.
I may need to join that.
There will be printouts, PDF printouts for everybody.
Cool.
I love about you. I was thinking about doing a live soon and picking like some of my favorite bigger YouTubers and like Aleister Crowley and other people and like going through their chart.
Yeah.
See what I can see and be like, oh, so that's why I knew it.
Yeah, exactly. It reveals stories. And you know what? This is another thing. I wanted to mention this really quick. Amber's going to be starting over on her channel, Lavender Moon. She's going to be starting a series on Real Sky with the creator of the Ancestral Path Tarot. And I'm sorry, I keep on turning this crap off. But it's on Real Sky Astrology that she's going to be talking with Julie Kuchia Watts. And to my understanding, that is a mixture of Vedic astrology and Western astrology, because it's based more on actual real-time placement of the stars, unlike Western, which is fixed, but it's still the expanded, which still has all the information like about the other bigger planets that are in Western and not in Vedic. So, and your asteroids and all that good stuff, Lilith. I think Lilith is in there, but that's all very interesting. So
It's going to be excellent.
Yes. That's awesome. I'm working on a few charts for people at the moment. I've been diving into the asteroid series, Yeah, exactly, Vesta.
I'm just getting into all that.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, this was great, guys.
It was. We
ended it. So
well, thank you all for coming.